Derek Lunsford has become one of the most talked about names in bodybuilding, and for good reason. His journey from the 212th division champion to a legitimate contender for the Mr. Olympia Open title is a story of both raw talent and calculated execution. He already made history as the first man to win both a 2-1-2 Olympia title and then place in the top 2 of the Open Mr. Olympia. That shows not just ability, but adaptability. He has proven he can carry more size, keep his shape, and still hold his own against giants who outweigh him by 40 or more pounds. Now, the big question is whether Derek can take the next step and secure the Sando Trophy. To answer that, we need to look not only at what Derek brings to the stage, but also how he stacks up against the top 5 prospects he's facing this year. Let's start with Samson Dauda. Dauda has one of the most impressive structures in the sport right now. Tall, wide, and flowing lines that remind people of the mass monsters of the past, but with more aesthetics. For Derek to beat a competitor like Samson, he can't just match him in size because Derek will never have Samson's height or frame. Instead, Derek's advantage has to be in conditioning. If he shows up absolutely shredded, grainy, peeled, and detailed, he can create an illusion that offsets Dauda's size and height. A sharper, drier Derek could expose weaknesses in Samson's midsection in detail, especially if Dauda comes in slightly off. Then we have Nick Walker. Nick is all about freak factor, huge arms, dense legs, and an aggressive stage presence. Where Nick can overwhelm is in sheer muscle mass, but Derek has a much more aesthetic structure. If he keeps his current size and focuses on refining, sharpening, and presenting a flawless package, he can create a more balanced look that the judges favor over Nick's blockier frame. The key against Nick is separation and detail. If Derek's glutes, hams, and lower back are sharper, and his waist remains tight, he can outshine Nick on overall flow. The reigning Olympia champion is another major obstacle. Hadi is known for conditioning. He rarely misses in that department. To beat Hadi, Derek has to equal or surpass that trademark sharpness while relying on his better structure. Derek is wider, has more sweep to his lats, and a better taper. If he matches Hadi's conditioning while keeping fullness, the comparison shots could swing his way. This is why many fans believe Derek has one of the best shots to dethrone Hadi if he nails his peak perfectly. Andrew Jack is another competitor rising fast. Andrew is massive, tall, and carries aesthetics that make him stand out instantly. Against Andrew, Derek again can't win by size alone. He has to come in harder and more detailed. Andrew's weak points historically have been extreme sharpness and density in certain poses. If Derek nails conditioning and keeps every muscle fiber crisp, his shorter frame won't matter as much. The judges will see a complete, polished physique against a taller man who still has gaps to fill. Finally, let's talk about Hunter Labrada. Hunter has been making significant improvements, particularly in his conditioning, which was his knock in past years. But Derek still has an edge in structure and stage presence. The danger is if Hunter comes in sharper than ever, Derek can't afford to be even slightly off. That's why the theme for Derek, no matter who he stands next to, comes down to refinement and conditioning. Now let's break down Derek's own words about his prep this year. He's revealed in interviews that he's focusing less on just chasing more size and more on refining what he already has. He has said that it's not about adding pounds at this point, it's about presenting the muscle in its best possible form. That means creating more separation, improving his midsection control, and making sure he doesn't sacrifice detail in the quest for fullness. His coach, Hani Rambod, has emphasized the need for balance. Fullness, roundness, and dryness all working together. They've talked about the goal being to show an extreme level of conditioning, something beyond what he's brought before. In training, Derek has continued to push heavy, progressive overload work, but with a strong emphasis on mind-muscle connection and perfect execution. You'll see him performing controlled presses, rows, and squats with intent, not just moving weight for the sake of moving weight. Leading into the Olympia, he's been vocal about posing practice as well, staying tight in the midsection, controlling transitions, and making sure every pose accentuates his strengths. This is critical when you're standing next to bigger men. You have to win with precision, detail, and presentation. So what does Derek Lunsford need to do to win the Olympia? He doesn't need to reinvent himself, and he doesn't need to chase more size. The muscle is already there. What he needs is to present a physique that is sharper and more refined than anyone else on stage. If he comes in peeled to the bone, with every muscle fiber showing, he can offset the height and width advantages of guys like Samson and Andrew. If he equals Hadi in conditioning and maintains his better lines, he can outshine them. And if he stays tighter and more aesthetic than Nick and Hunter, he wins those battles too. In the end, Derek Lunsford's path to victory comes down to a single word: shredded. If he delivers extreme conditioning, something that makes fans and judges stop in their tracks, then his structure, size, and flow will do the rest. That's how he goes from being the runner-up to holding the sando in his hands.